So one of the ways that we classify triangles, one of the ways that we name them is by the angles that they have. The two big ways are by the angles or by the sides. So classifying triangles by the angles, remember that triangles have three angles, okay? Literally the word triangle, tri means three and angle means angle. They have three angles. Two of those angles will always be acute angles, all right? Every triangle that we're ever going to look at will always have at least two acute angles, all right? Which means two of the angles are going to be smaller than 90 degrees. We name it, we classify it based on whatever that last angle is, okay? And if the last angle is also an acute angle, we call it an acute triangle, all right? If that third or last angle is a right angle, we call it a right triangle. And if that third or last angle is an obtuse angle, we call it an obtuse triangle, okay? And when you look at some of these, some of them are obvious or some of them will be labeled in terms of the angle measurements. We can justify that by just looking at the one specific angle. Again, two of these will always be acute. We have to look at that third angle that maybe is on the borderline between being acute or right or obtuse. And so when you look at these three examples down here, just showing you an example of an acute triangle, a right triangle, and an obtuse triangle. Again, for the acute triangle, all of them are acute angles. So let's say these are the first two angles I was looking at. Well, of course, they're acute. We name it based on whatever happens with the third angle. And so for this one, the third angle right here is also an acute angle. That's what makes this thing an acute triangle. All right. If I look at the next one, same kind of thing. These first two angles, those are acute angles. It's always going to have two acute angles, but I label it based on the third angle. This last angle is a right angle, so this thing's going to be a right triangle, okay? And so really it comes down to if there's one angle in here that's a right angle, well, then it's going to be a right triangle, okay? That's the angle we're kind of concerned with. So we have to kind of narrow it down to that third angle. This one, here's the two acute angles that we always will have, okay? We'll always have at least two acute angles, but then that third angle is an obtuse angle, so this is an obtuse triangle. Okay? And so to kind of summarize this, acute triangles will have three acute angles. A right triangle will have one right angle, and an obtuse triangle will have one obtuse angle. All right? And so it all comes down to that, finding that one angle that classifies this thing. Okay? If all of them are acute, then it's acute. If just one of those is a right angle, then it's a right triangle. And if just one of them is an obtuse angle, then it's an obtuse triangle. Okay?